let's talk about, I'm not sure, so Bob started as an idea finally some while back when we thought about how we could at the end not, because everything what we've seen before today was only based on a single agent. So when we talk about Bob, he's a multi-agent approach, so that we in totally run 12 different agents, and each of these agents has specific capabilities to better understand really specific needs, and each of them you can as well configure and define individually, really to adopt it better to the needs at the end. Bob is at the end is as well front-end agnostic, so he can run at the end on a web end, on a mobile. He can run at the end within project iterations. So you can as well define where it should run, how it should look like at the end. So both sides at the end are fully flexible in the configuration. And furthermore, it is as well flexible from the backend. So you can configure what are the data connectors, what are the data which should be finally consumed. So to sum it up, at the end, we run a set of agents instead of a single one. You can define at the end what should be the mobile device, what should it look like, and to which backend data it is finally connected. And last but not least, you can as well define what should be the LLM which is used. So treat it more as a framework, what you can configure really to specific needs. What are those 12? So we have one agent. He is really specialized into analyze portfolio. So he's really fully aware of what does a portfolio means, what is a portfolio about. The thing is the guy or the person who is responsible to analyze at the end project related data. And project management is not equal to financial management. So we have a kind of account specialist and a financial specialist, which is analyzing the data alongside. Now you can read it on your own, right? You see there are different skill sets combined. And if you count the tiles here on the slide, you will recognize those are only 11, but I always talk about 12. Number 12 is the guy who is responsible. He's the project manager of those agents. So he is the guy who is responsible to identify who should take the task and work on it, specific on what you type in finally. Now you need to show me how you did that switch here, like that. No. Okay.
Yes, I will.
Yeah, just
go back. Is this one?
Yeah. So let's start a new session, or we have the last session. The last session is still open. So you can select at the end the data what you want to select. This is, as said, this is now only a sample screen how it should look like, but you can define it at the end. And instead of, you can type here the question what you want to type, but at the end when we talk with an LLM, it's much easier. Bob, tell me what I missed the last weekend. So now he's starting, and instead of really waiting or typing, you can now really see what is happening. You do not need to show what is happening, but it's instead of only waiting, we decided let's show what is happening in the background. So the first thing is, this was agent number 12. He first of all tries to understand my question and sending this to the specialist behind. And in that way, only the portfolio analyst is involved because he understood the question more. I want to achieve a high-level approach of that, or high-level understanding of what has happened. And now it is preparing at the end the summary. So there are already the first warnings coming up, which you can show or you cannot show. And Bob is now still analyzing it. You see the time is running. Usually this kind of example takes close to a minute, at least in my last test, where I'm aware that I need at least to talk 1 minute. So now he's preparing the voice.
Weekend, one of your most visible programs, Azure Cloud Migration, flipped from amber to red as cost performance deteriorated to a CPI of 0.84 despite being 1% complete. At the same time, the data warehouse rebuild slipped further with an SPI of 0.45 and CPI of 0.73, signaling a deeper estimation or delivery issue early in its life cycle. Overall, 12 projects are now red, keeping you in a 33% structural risk zone, with cost pressure emerging as a portfolio-wide pattern. You also have a resource imbalance. 14 hours of overtime concentrated on one architect, while another key contributor logged near zero time for a second week. The one thing I would do immediately is review Azure's final phase cost containment plan and secure backup coverage before completion risk compounds.
And finally, as well as the result, you see you can copy it if you like. But now here you have the result at the end of everything what was talked before on a voice level. So which means what we thought as well while working on this idea, as of now we're still used to use the keyboard to interact with the agents, right? We're sending commands, we're typing our prompts, we're formulating, and we need to read a lot of text as a result. And when you're now in the car, you're on the road, or you have some time somewhere else, it's much easier sometimes to listen to the stuff. I could now, I guess this was the alarm that we are over time? Okay.
No, but we still have time.
We still have time. Wonderful. Where we could now run more examples, like give you more deeper, or what would happen when a specific resource, a key resource is leaving the project? What would be the impact on that? Where should we, only need to double check the name of her, because this is really data which is actual in the system. What is happening when Sarah Chen would resign within a 2 weeks notice period? What would be the impact behind? And I'm so proud that it even understands my English. So, 3 minutes. And now you see different specialists are involved in that to give answer to this question. Because now you need somebody who understands at the end the impact of resource loading to the result. Long story short, when in that way we have an orchestrated set of agents, and we have one agent which is aware of the capabilities and the skills of all of those agents. So he can understand the question and then decide at the end who should finally work on that. It needs some time to get that. Any questions to this? Or you want to go deeper into another example? I guess this was really alarmed that the time is over.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was.
One good question. Why Bob has a female voice?
As Bob is
Sarah
already...
Chen resigns with 2 weeks' notice. This will be a critical portfolio disruption affecting 2 major transformation programs with a combined $5.3 million budget. She is the sole owner of 2 critical path streams, and without mitigation, each project could slip by approximately 4 weeks, with high risk of further cost and performance deterioration. There is no ready replacement with available capacity, and her current 135% utilization.
I think you got the meaning behind. I mean, why Bob has a female voice? It's a pretty good question. Bob is already a male name, so we want to stay consistent, so we choose a female voice. Now you can decide on that. It's only playing around with the data. Yeah, and as you see here as well, compared to the previous answer, this is a second attempt to as well have the output less text-based and more visualized in KPIs on the impact. That should be a short example for different agents in action as well.